Whoop, nope, nope. There we go. Yep. So, all right. So, what am I trying to do today? I am going to try to do a bit of a distance test for people that enjoy exploring, people that don't mind having just a little bit of danger and, understand the risk and stuff. Motorcycling can actually be quite rewarding. I've seen people like Zero Fun go across the United States multiple times. And there's people that can do that, and I think that's pretty amazing. I don't know, it just looks incredibly exhausting. I do not get the appeal. Well, okay, no, actually, never mind, I get the appeal. To be the first for something, to set a standard, that's actually pretty cool. Maybe that's something I'll get a chance to do one of these days and I'll feel differently. Why do this, speed test? I'm going to try to keep it to basically 50 and under, normal-ish acceleration, nothing too crazy. I really want to see how far I can go. And my reason for wanting to do that is I actually would like to go on one of those long trips. That long trip I'd like to do is I'd like to go up to Alaska. When I initially looked at it, it would have been a straight shot, some like 20 or 30 hours to drive up there. And that's with, gas and taking turns driving. As you might imagine, the charging infrastructure is not super well developed. And, of course, because not that many people travel that road. And their core clientele is, people that live up there, people that are doing RVs and things like that. And wouldn't necessarily, lend itself to one of those kind of journeys. But it's there. And I guess that's what I'm trying to say, is there is a road that goes up to a state I have no reason ever to visit beyond the fact that it's beautiful up there, that it's technically the next state over. I do realize that, like, a large portion of Canada is in the way, but, it's just right there, right? And it's tons of stuff to explore, and it's right there, like, there. So if RVs camp along the way, that means they must have power along the way, which, according to PlugShare, that is most of the type of charging situations that are going up there. So I have mapped out that I can make most of the journey just with... Do I want to go this way? Yeah, I want to go this way. So I can make most of the journey with just regular charging, and then I can make up the rest of it with the... I can make up the rest of it with these RV charging spots. Now, that does mean I'm going to be locked in at the 3 kilowatt hour charging speed instead of the DC fast charging speed, but honestly, there weren't that many DC fast chargers once you get into, like, mid British Columbia. So it's like, so that means, okay, maybe at most I could do about 200 miles a day-ish. Maybe if I'm really pushing, I could do that more, so I'll still have to do some work. The whole point of all this is, even with all of these chargers, even with all these RV hookups, there's still about 100. There's two places where it's a little bit about 140 miles in between charging stops. I have a theory. That theory is, if I go like 50 miles an hour slower, I could probably do 140. And if I'm doing it in not necessarily the best conditions, why not? Eco mode is so lame. But maybe necessary for this kind of a thing. So I've also often wondered about motorcyclists who are famous people. And are they really that anonymous wearing a helmet? Like, could somebody right now be thinking that I'm Keanu Reeves? Nah, I don't think so. The question you should be asking yourself is, how comfortable are you right now, Dan? You comfortable at all? Yes, I'm comfortable at the moment. Am I good kind of comfortable? No. He's still not going. Okay, so let's get in front of this guy, because I like being able to see over cars. And is he gonna turn? Is he gonna go? I don't know. I probably should have turned there. Oh well. This could be a very, very long ride. Alright, so one of my desires, I guess, is to find an easy way to get out of the city. And, you know, if I can get out of it without necessarily burning through a lot of my battery, currently at 89%, down from a high of 100, then that'd be even better. So I'm going to officially say that this has just taken too long, because I would only really consider right now to be out of the city, and you'll see what I'm saying. You know, the last little bit of planned communities, a community church, yeah. And then ta-da, out into an open valley. Now this area is actually protected farmland, so they can't build here. Just part of the reason why I guess it goes around. Whoa. Still getting used to how good the ABS is here. I mean, the bike feels planted, but I don't feel comfortable. Which leads back to my most important point. If you're not comfortable, you shouldn't be riding. And this is kind of on the edge of my comfort level. And just like that, we are out of the city. We are in the country. Okay, like, kind of country. I mean, there's a ton of power lines for this being the country. I've been in the actual country, and it does not entirely look like this. But hey, this is close-ish, right? Close country. So there's a channel on YouTube that called like VinWiki Stories. And they had this story of this guy who set the record for cross-country motorcycle trip. He did it in the southern part, so I don't necessarily call that cheating, but it is definitely a shorter trip than doing like the middle of the United States or the north of the United States, which as far as I know, nobody's really ever tried going through Wisconsin and North Dakota and Montana. That might be actually kind of fun, taking I-90 or something like that, but anyway, I digress. So this guy went on the southern part, and he kind of walked through like how he accomplished it. You know, motorcycles for the most part, especially gas ones, you know, they go about maybe 150 to 200 miles if you're really hypermiling. You know, he was planning on doing a lot of just bombing down the freeway, and his way of doing it would be to have like a heat camera, like a FLIR camera, to be able to see ahead of him even in the dark. He put on a 5-gallon tank behind him, like right back there, and he basically is like, yeah, I was able to do it with like 5 fill-ups. And I was like, 5 fill-ups? Sheesh. And so he'd be riding along at 80, 90, 100 miles an hour, and he'd just like choop, 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 and he'd just, you know, fill up the tank again with his, you know, this other tank. And, you know, up to that point, I was like, oh, okay, well, you know, more power to you, you know, it's all good. Then he talked about how he prepped himself for getting ready. And he talked about to stay awake that whole time, he had done a 50-50 mixture of Red Bull and Gatorade. Because in his mind, he's like, yeah, you know, like, here we go. Like, I need to stay awake and alert, and that's the best way to do it. It'll keep me hydrated and keep me active. And I was just like, first of all, I was like, oh, shoot. Like, that is dedication right there. That is nuts. Even then, he says, you know, he did the attempt in 30 hours, and I've done, you know, 8-hour days, 10-hour days, I felt like I was hallucinating a little bit toward the end. I could not imagine somebody doing 30 hours. He said it started feeling like a video game, and I believe it, like where he's just like, hey, you know, I'm floating on the air, and I'm looking at this screen down below me, and it's got all these things on it, and I'd be like, yeah, I'd be freaking out myself. I'd be like, I don't get what's going on. Why does life look this way? Ooh. So that's the kind of stuff that just kind of turns me off to this whole thing of who can do it the longest, or the fastest, or whatever. So maybe that's what I need to do with this this motorcycle journey that I want to do up to Alaska. You know, I don't have to do it in the fastest amount of time. I kind of just like, can it be done? Like, I really want somebody to do long way round on an electric motorcycle. I really, like, I feel like that would do so much to just convince people, like, oh yeah, if you're careful and if you plan, sure, you can go around the world on a motorcycle. Man, that would be something. It would be something to do that and actually just have that be one of my little contributions. So I found out earlier this week that if this bike is in long period rest mode, that it cannot go into drive mode, which is a little odd because I just thought that was a charging mode, but apparently it's a, nope, it's a lifestyle. It's like, nope, we're definitely not going to let you do anything besides turn it on and turn it off and say, yep, it's in LPR. I just assumed LPR was, hey, it's going to turn on every couple of weeks and charge it up a little bit, call it good, and keep the batteries, like, balanced. So, you know, in prep for this trip today, I wanted to charge it up to 100% because LPR keeps it at 80. And I start charging it, it gets in the 90s, and it says, hey, it's balancing the battery. And I'm like, wait, hasn't it been doing that for the last couple of weeks, balancing the battery? With all this rain we've been having, doesn't this mean that it should be ready to go and it should be fine? That does not appear to be the case. Just feels from a user interface perspective that it feels a little bit like version 1. You know, one guy was sitting there coding and said, okay, so I've got the bare essentials out of the way. This is great. Let's work on what actually the actual polish part. And somebody said, nope, too late, gotta go. Yeah, at this point it's just direct rain. Sure hope you survived there. Little Instamatic. Poor little thing's working its heart out.